Okay, we're making a rankings tier list of all the liveries we've had in 2022. I feel like this hasn't been done yet. I know that people ranked liveries in the beginning of the year, but we have gotten some one-offs by the end, and I put a tier list of all of them together. So for the tiers, we have sexy, muy bien, mid, not horrible, and disgusting. And as you can see, I tried adding all of them. I think we have a total of 17, so there were 7 other liveries. Now, I hope I added all of them. I'm not sure if I did, but I hope I added all of them. In the disgustings list, that's where we'll start with. So I'm not gonna go like in order that it's set in. I'm just gonna tell you what I think is the disgustings list. Disgusting tier, I put 2 liveries, and I have them in order. So I think that this Haas livery, the Russian one, the first livery we ended up getting on that awful looking car, is not the worst, but the worst is definitely this Alfa Romeo. Like, this is genuinely a disgusting livery. I don't know what they were thinking. You can't really see in the image, but they have this like weird like crocodile type thing on the back of the car. It's god awful. These are by far the worst liveries that I have seen almost like in the history of F1. They are awful, and I'm glad that they changed it because they needed to change desperately. In the not horrible tier, I added 3 other liveries. So from the worst to the best, I had the original McLaren. Now, I'm not like a big fan of this. I think the car ended up actually turning out to be a lot better. I wish I had an image of it looking like that, but they changed the livery so many times that by the end of the year, there's 2 one-offs when they changed it in Singapore, so I didn't add it. But the beginning livery, I'm not a fan. I'm not too huge on like just the way that it looks. That light blue and orange doesn't look as cool as I think people make it out to seem. After that, I have the Abu Dhabi version. It's just messy. It's a little better than the other one just because it has kind of a pizzazz to it. And to end it off on not horrible, which by the way, I think these liveries are not awful as the tier entails, but they're not the greatest. And I think the AlphaTauri one is just kind of generic. Not really much to it. They should have added like a lot more, but it's AlphaTauri. What do you expect? Onto the mid tier list now. I added 4 here. 1 I will add to the screen. I forgot to actually put in the Alpine livery, the generic one. I do think that one is in mid, and I think it is at the bottom of mid. So I'm glad that I'm actually able to add it into the bottom. But okay, so starting with that one. Not a huge fan of how that pink and blue kind of goes together. I feel like the car got better looking on the side pod wise to actually make the livery look a little bit better. When I first saw this livery, I was like, wow, this is a disgusting livery, but not disgusting. I'd probably say not horrible, maybe top of it, but now it's up to mid, and I think it's an okay livery, but their pink one was definitely a good amount better. Then we have the Haas one with the red stripe. Now, this is a big time upgrade to what they had in the beginning of the season, and they also upgraded a little bit from testing. Testing didn't have the white stripe, it was just completely white. So, an upgrade, a good livery, nothing fancy schmancy, but a good livery. For the Ferrari one, this might be a shocker, but I was expecting a lot more yellow on this Ferrari. When they said one-off livery, I was like, oh, it's gonna look all yellow. They're gonna have like black on it. That would have been a sexy tier car for sure. But no, they kind of decided it on that little wing part. The back, the rear wing though, with the Ferrari logo, that was clean. And they should have kept that there the whole entire year, but I don't know, the number change and the little top flaps they did doesn't really do it for me. It's nice, but is it that nice? Not really. Mid, like I said. And the Williams. I have the Williams in mid. When I first saw this livery, I was a big fan, but as I saw more and more throughout the year, the more color they took off, the better I actually ended up liking it. But I kind of realized there are a lot better liveries on the grid, and I don't think it's a muy bien or a sexy. I think it's just a mid and top of mid, but close to that top tier range. Okay, into the muy bien tier. Now, this tier obviously has the most. That has 6. Starting off with C42, that digital livery that they ended up having in the preseason testing. I wouldn't even be mad if this was the livery that we had throughout the whole entire season. It was cool. It was something I'd never really seen on an Alpha, and I wish they would have kept it. They ended up actually like having like merch for this livery. They should have kept it. The merch was fire. The actual livery was fire. I wish they kept it. I do like the original. Obviously, it's higher up on the list, but I do like this one as well. I added the BWT Fully Pink. Now, I mean, this looked a lot cooler than the livery that we ended up actually getting throughout the whole entire season. I was a big fan of it. I wish they kept it. In the races, it looked even better than it does in this image, and for that, that's why it's almost in top tier. Then I have the Red Bull. When I first saw this livery, because I mean, it's kind of the same livery from 4 years ago, but think about it. Red Bull, when Sebastian Vettel was driving, it was practically the same thing for 4 to 5 years in a row, became iconic. Now, Verstappen is driving it. He will make this type of livery iconic. He is doing a great job of, Red Bull is doing a great job of actually making this livery stand out. That like almost black, matte black, looks beautiful. You can't not like this livery. Now the Mercedes. This livery grew on me the more and more that we actually went throughout the whole entire year. When I first saw it, I was like, this is hideous. The car looks hideous. For some reason, the more and more I looked at it, the more and more I liked the no side pods and that like silver design. And it grew on me. It really grew on me. Now for this car, the AMR-A. So obviously, when I first saw this car, it was sexy. Beyond what I thought actually a car could even look like. I was so amazed by how this looked. I was so happy. It was my number 1 in my top 10 tier list at that, or liveries at that time. Then, if you've ever had that thing where you look at something you like so much that you end up starting to not like it, that's how I felt about this livery. It ended up growing off of me somehow, and that's why I have it down here. Right next to it, I have the Alfa Romeo. This livery is just beautifully done, and I expect them to always have good liveries. I always like the liveries, but the 2021 livery, I still like it a little bit better than this one, believe it or not. And last is the sexy tier with the cars that I think look the best in the whole entire season. We have the McLaren from Singapore with the pink and the orange that they ended up actually having on that car. I thought this was brilliant. With the way that they put in the logos, the way the car looked like from the side, I was a huge fan of this. And it was a big difference as to the original liveries and the one we had in Abu Dhabi. Now it's for the Ferrari car. When I first saw this livery, I thought this was my favorite livery in the AMR-A. I still think it stood up to the test of time and looked beautiful throughout the whole entire season. Seeing this thing, I wish we would have had more shots of Leclerc and Verstappen where like it was just a genuine like back shot of like from Verstappen's rear wing of seeing that car, because that car looks mean. Just looks mean with those huge side pods, that dark red on it with the black. It's just a mean looking livery, and for that it's got to be in the sexy tier. It's a killer, really. It looked like a killer car up until it wasn't, but the livery is beautiful, I have to admit. And my favorite, of course, is the AMR-B livery. And yes, this is different than the AMR-A. There's a little bit more black on it. They added a couple of more of those like racing lime green stripes. But the way that this color just pops on this car when it drives, it's so noticeable, this green. I thought it wouldn't be when they first put it with the black. You just see it glisten in the sun. It's definitely the best livery on the grid, and I expect them to actually put out the best livery in 2023 as well. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I tried adding everything, and when the new liveries come out, I'll be reacting to those obviously, but we still got time, so thought I might as well add a end of season type liveries, one-offs and everything into a tier list. Let me know your thoughts down below. What is your favorite livery? What is your least favorite livery? Do you guys agree with the list? Please leave a like, subscribe, that'd mean the world, and peace.